The tourist sub to the Titanic is still missing, with just hours before the 5 people inside technically run out of oxygen.
Coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we do expect to get an update here from the U.S. Coast Guard. That's in just about 30 minutes, and that is about the latest on the search for that missing submersible carrying 5 people to the wreckage of the Titanic. A Canadian military surveillance aircraft detected underwater noises amid the search. Now, the Coast Guard not specifying what it believes the noises could be, but no question here, there is a lot of speculation. Ashley Webster with Fox Business has been following this story and joins us now live to talk more about all of it. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us again.
My pleasure, Josh.
So initially we did hear about the noise that was heard overnight. What do we know about that, and what is the latest overall?
Well, you talked about speculation. There were reports earlier today that there was a sort of banging sound that was picked up by that Canadian surveillance plane. And also it was reported that when a sonar device was put in the area close to where the submersible disappeared, that too picked up some sort of sound. Now, as the day has gone on, the Coast Guard has kind of shut down those reports, saying we never said it was a banging noise. It was, quote, underwater noises, which is very vague to say the least. They do say that recordings of it have now been sent to the U.S. Navy, who's analyzing it to try and get a sense of what it is. But again, when you hear the sound, reports of a banging sound, it certainly raises hopes that there are people alive down there that are trying to get the attention and trying to give away their location. The Coast Guard, I think, throwing a little bit of caution on those reports, Josh.
And so another question we're hearing a lot is just who are these passengers that are on board? And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but can you break down what we know about the 5 people that are on that submersible?
Well, we know we have a 48-year-old Pakistani businessman, one of the wealthiest, belonging to one of the wealthiest families in Pakistan. He operates a business, I believe, operates out of Karachi. He's on board with his 19-year-old son, Suleiman. They're British citizens. He went to school in the UK, and I think he actually went to, I'm talking about the father now, went to a university in the United States. Also on board is 58-year-old Hamish Harding. He's a very successful billionaire businessman who has spent the recent years doing these adventurous things. He was on the Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rocket. He paid for that because these tickets are immensely expensive. But he's an adventurer. He's been boasting that he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for 3 separate things. So the fact that he was on board is no big surprise, despite the $250,000 ticket price. Also on board is a French explorer in his 70s, someone who was in the Navy, the French Navy. When he retired, he became somewhat, as people describe him, as obsessed with the Titanic. He was known as Mr. Titanic. He's on board. He's already been down to see the wreckage many times before. And then the 5th person on board is Stockton Rush, who is the owner, founder, operator, CEO, you name it, of OceanGate, which is the company that operates this submersible. He is now been confirmed as being on board. So there's your 5 members. And of course, as we know, time is running out.
And we also did hear from the U.S. Coast Guard. They said as of yesterday around 1 p.m. Eastern Time that there was about 40, maybe 41 hours of breathable oxygen left on the submersible as far as they could tell. But it appears that that's more of an estimate, and it's never actually been tested or anything of that nature. But based on those numbers, At this point, we're talking less than 24 hours left of breathable oxygen.
You're absolutely right. Probably at this stage, maybe 20 hours or less, which is very disturbing when you consider that they still have not located the submersible. And when they do, it could take a day to get it out of the ocean and to the surface. Let's not forget those people inside. They can't get out. They are literally bolted in, and someone would have to drill them out to open the hatch. So time is really a huge enemy at this point. But as for how much oxygen is left, it's very difficult to give an accurate number, because there are so many variables. If they are there and they are breathing and starting to obviously know their situation, You know, it's very difficult to, slow your breathing down to try and conserve air. So, and especially among the 3 tourists, obviously it's a very distressing time, and that's why they're very concerned that this oxygen could go down, or the quantity of oxygen could go down pretty quickly. Having said that, I do know that about 8 more ships have arrived in the search area, and one of those, very importantly, is a French ship that is going to deploy a robotic remote robot, the ROV, that can go down to the depths of where the Titanic wreckage is. You know, the hope is it can go down there if the submersible is snagged on something, or this ROV can go down there and start the process of, freeing the submersible if that's the case. And then they're going to have to put some sort of winch on the submersible and get it to the surface. But again, Josh, the problem with all of this, it's never been done before at these kind of depths. We're talking more than 2 miles down in the ocean, 2.4 miles. It's a long way down. And the whole process, which has never been done before, could at least take a day. So they are battling a lot of elements right now, but to bring it back to the beginning, they still have yet to confirm even finding where the submersible may be.
And one thing you brought up that's very interesting, because a lot of people have been talking about this on social media and just in general, is the fact that it appears the submersible doesn't actually open from the inside. So even if it were to, let's say, float to the surface or something of that nature, the folks inside can't necessarily get out, I guess.
That's exactly right. They are sealed in. And then, of course, that raises questions about how well were the bolts on the outside. There's 17 bolts, as I understand, that hold the capsule in. And once you're in, you're in. It will take someone else to, take those bolts out so that you can get out. So even if they are on the surface, who knows? Maybe the noises that were heard were people inside the submersible floating around somewhere in the Atlantic. They still can't get out, and apparently cannot communicate through regular means. So yes, it really is a desperate situation. And so with that rescue, they can't just get out of the sub and then be transferred to somewhere else, because at that depth it's just not possible. You know, it's 4,000 pounds per square inch is the pressure down there. So they have to come to the surface before anything can be done to get them out of that submersible.
All right. Ashley Webster there with Fox Business. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And we do have that news conference coming up soon, so we should get some more details.
Yes.
Thank you again.